I always wonder about this, and I've thought about it for a while because I've tried to imagine. Like I have never run on a track, in racing with a pit board.
Oh yeah.
So, and I look at that pit board and I go, how do you actually read that? And how do you set it up so you can read the thing? Are you reading it, or are you taking a visual snapshot of it and then trying to analyze it? How does it work? Tell me how you use a pit board and how others might use it.
Yeah, it's a good question because I always get people asking about it too and always saying, "Oh, how do you see that when you're doing, you know, 200 plus Ks an hour, sometimes, 250 Ks an hour." So, um, yeah, I mean, like for the most part, say during practice and qualifying, it's a great piece of information to have just to know your lap time, how much time's left in the session, how far away you are from the fastest time of the session. Like, so you know that, somebody's on a certain lap time, and every time you cross the finish line, you can see your lap time come up on the dashboard, and you can tell, all right, well, I still need to find half a second, or whatever it is while you're doing your session. Um, Physically on the bike and for me riding, I often have trouble finding finding my pit board and my always have I've had in the past, because the guys that are on the wall there that are doing the pit board, like it's a bit of a stressful job in a sense that it all happens pretty quick. You know what I mean? You've only got usually a lap's only somewhere between 1 minute and 10 seconds and 1 minute 30 seconds. You know what I mean? Roughly. So there's not a lot of time to get the pit board sorted, and if you're checking timing and all this type of thing, so it all happens pretty quick. So they get upset if I say to them, "Oh, I didn't see the board, or I didn't even look at it for that whole session." They've been out there busting themselves on the board, and I haven't even looked at it. So,
What about that?
uh,
That's a tough job.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's actually not that easy. So, um, yeah, but so one thing was for me was getting the color right on the board so I can visually pick it up, right. So we got some, I think we got orange on my board so I can actually spot it and see it. The numbers are quite large, it's pretty big. Some of our slower tracks that we go to, where the boards, it's more easy to read because you're going slower. Say Morgan Park, for example, or Queensland Raceway. The board is kind of close to the track, as well, so it's a little bit easier to pick up. The place that I struggle the most with it probably is Phillip Island because again, you're going so fast. It's quite a long way away in a sense that the board is, you're coming out of a turn and you've got to kind of sort of, you're coming out of that left hand turn. You got to keep looking further to your left to see the board. So yeah, it can be a bit tricky to pick up there, but for the most part, like how I'd visually see it, like it's like just trying to locate the color of the board a long way away in a sense, and that way then as you get closer to it, the numbers start to become a bit more easy to read. Sometimes depends on when I'm in a race and I'm battling, like you've got to have some attention on the people that are in front of you or the people that are around you. So some laps I won't look at the board at all because you're so focused and engrossed in the battle that you're having, and you got to be concentrating about the people that are around you. Firstly, so you don't ride into anyone, and secondly, if you're trying to line up a pass or get something, get momentum on somebody and use the draft to pass them, or you're trying to focus all your energy on that. And otherwise, if you might sort of flick, glance over there for a second, and you might just pick up laps to go, or you might just pick up the gap to the people behind you, or you might just pick one bit of information out of it. You know what I mean? Really, just depends on how much attention span I've got on the lap. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and probably, let's say for your first, I don't know, 4 or 5 laps, you probably don't really even need to look at your board because generally speaking, you're just gotten off the line. You're in a big group. You know what I mean? You already know where everyone's going to be. You know that. You know what I mean? It's people around. So the best part about the board, honestly, the best part about the board is if you're leading a race. You're off the front and you can manage the gap. You can clearly see how far behind the person is. You know that your gap's opening up or if it's staying the same. So you can then develop a strategy for as the race goes on. So you'll watch the gap, you'll watch the laps to go. If the gap's staying at +0 and you're barely getting away, and your laps are counting down, well, all right, last couple of laps are probably going to have to start doing some defense and try to block block the places where people would try to pass. But yeah, obviously, if you see the gap opening up and the lap's coming down and the gap's getting bigger, well, that's the best feeling ever. That's what you want to see. You want to see the gap getting bigger and the lap's getting less.
I thought that would have been the case, when you were leading Josh in race one, that now that board becomes useful to you.
Yeah.
Because I always wonder, it's 2025, and I know they've got the technology on the bikes, certainly in MotoGP, all that. Why isn't that information on your dash? Why don't you have a pit dash or something? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose it's something that they've always had the pit board for so long, and it's just what they've always done, so they always just keep doing it, I guess. I mean, um, whilst it is possible to probably put, bits of info on the dash, it still has the same problem in that it's kind of hard to see, you know what I mean? Like when you're moving at speed and again you're in a race, you've got people around you, like I mean, you're moving when you move your vision from everything that's happening in front of you, which is all moving, to then trying to readjust your vision to something relatively small that isn't moving, and then refocusing back to everything coming at a million miles an hour again. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's not as easy as saying I just put it all on the dash. You know what I mean? That's also not so easy. Um,
because that's like,
and
it'd be like riding along on the road and then put your eyes down and read the speedometer, as in read the how many kilometers your bike's done.
that's right.
To
Yeah,
read,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's actually not that easy, right?
no,
And make sure that you don't run off the road or ride into something or as well. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think that they're like I said, they're already putting messages and stuff on those on the dash, in GP and stuff. For the sectors, they might have a yellow flag, or if they get a red flag, whatever. They're doing that kind of stuff. But I think just probably because the pit board's always been around for so long, it's just what they do that they just keep doing it.
The dash you could use, like, I think that because I know they put long lap,
Mm.
what do you call it? Limit, track limit warnings, and
Yeah,
then long lap and all that sort of stuff. But I think they're probably using those icons, a visual icon rather than
yeah,
a series of words or something for sure, because they do it for us as the spectators, don't they, in the big races? So
yeah. And it's probably more easy to identify like a symbol or something, like an icon or a symbol than it is to sort of read
yeah,
numbers and letters and stuff. You know what I mean? So
I've been
yeah.
uh, I've been racing at Mountain Park in 400 production on my Ninja 400, and
Yeah, I seen you got pole position there, didn't you? And then
no.
and then you didn't.
No, that was stuffed up. I just sit in no man's land on a stock 400, and it's like everyone when I started racing there, everyone started tuning their bikes, and now everyone's got power that I can't keep up with down the straight. It's so frustrating when they pull away. But I was thinking the other day as I'm going down the straight, I got enough time to write a text. Like they could text me on my phone and tell me where I am and all that. And I'd read it and all that before I get to the end of the straight. But then I jump on the super bike and I go, nah, no time. 'Cause
Mm,
it's like over 100 kilometers an hour speed difference, in the middle of
yeah.
the straight. So I do understand what you're saying, but maybe we just slow you down and then you can put it on your dash. Um,